Just had the opening ceremonies for the Mixed Fours Nationals, and they're going to get started with their draw here shortly. At 6:01, so I think I'll get things started. Just for anybody who's new to the group or has been quiet in the past, please remember that you can always jump in. Want to make this as collaborative as possible. If you're polite and raise your hand, great. But if you're not and you just say something, that's fine too. There's also the chat, which maybe I'll open up so I can see things in there. But I hope everybody got the agenda. It was sent via email, and it was also in the team's invite. So hopefully we at least solved that, among other tech issues we need to continue to resolve, but hopefully that was resolved. So on the agenda, I think sort of some of the more important ones might be the voting process at the members meeting, plans for the members meeting and assembly, one host site need for 2025 that I'll talk about. And then I guess I'll kick things off just with if anybody has any comments or thoughts from some of the things we discussed at the last meeting. And if you need a reminder of what we discussed, we talked about the merchandise sales for member clubs. We've got good feedback on that from people. We discussed the GNCC letter to leadership of GNCC member clubs. We talked about host sites, coaching you up, and also ended on the members meeting and assembly. But so I'll stop there for a second, see if anybody has any thoughts they want to share from last meeting before we dive into the rest of the agenda. Again, it wasn't controversial enough, I guess. So it looks like nobody has too much to add about last week. So I'll carry on then. And so one thing, we will have a new, not necessarily a new voting process, but we have a different setup for voting this year in that individual members are the members of USA Curling, and it will be their votes at the members meeting versus regions carrying votes. Now, member clubs can carry the votes for their members. So I'd like you to think about how you take that back to your clubs. We'd love to have clubs carrying votes for their members, but you do want to make sure all members have an opportunity to if they want to separate their vote from the club, that they have the opportunity to do that. If you missed the release, the members' assembly and meeting is planned for August 9th through 11th. It's going to be at Chaska Curling Center. The members' meeting will be Friday the 9th in the evening, and then we'll have some certification, other programming, skills training, etc. through the weekend. We did move it further in advance, and if you didn't read the notice that we put out, that's because we found that people like all of you are on this call and active in your clubs. October is a time when you're really busy in your clubs, which made it hard for people to attend. So we're hoping that helps a bit with attendance. So does anybody have questions on? So we'll have the similar process. People, you can vote. You will be able to vote virtually. We will, be compiling voting numbers in advance. But does anybody have any questions on how it'll work? Clarity is unbelievable here. Oh, Mike O'Brien's got his hand up. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, my only question is, at what point is the information that's going to be voted on going to be shared?
Yeah, right now there's not a whole lot on the agenda for voting, but we'll put that out within, I think we have to put it out 30 days in advance. Brett might be able to check me on that. Brett Jackson's chair is on. So any issues go out in advance.
Dean, how does that information go out? Does it just go on your website?
You mean when it comes to what'll be voted on?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll share that widely. We'll put it on the website. We'll send an email to club leadership, etc. So we'll do as much as we can to get that information out. Chris Lisney says it seems complex to have individuals opt out, not opt out of the club level. Yeah, I mean, it does add a layer of complexity, but we want to give club members the option if they want to vote as an individual, they can. So ideally, to be honest, it's member clubs are carrying votes, and that would probably make it the most efficient. But we can handle all of it. Well, Dick Dawson, our board secretary, has a platform. There will be a roll call for individual voting. So yeah, the more we get member clubs voting, the quicker it will happen.
So I'll answer that too, is that we tried last time and it was successful to do an online voting process. And so we're going to be instituting that again. So everyone who will be voting, whether they're voting on behalf of their club or whether they're an individual, will be sent a link to a voting system online that, you know, so we won't be calling out everyone's name. We will just be saying, we're going to open the votes now for this particular thing. So it could be the elections of whatever directors are up for re-election or for election this time. That will be one of the votes, for instance. And so we would call for the vote to be opened. People will have minutes to punch the button and do their votes. Those things will be tallied electronically. Then everyone will be able to see how, not necessarily how everyone voted, but who did vote and what the tallies are. All of that will be electronic, and so it's pretty transparent. Yeah, it worked well last time.
We'll have, I think the only roll call vote we'll have is for Bernie Wigan because he's bought the most merchandise in the last year, so he gets one special roll call vote. Bernie. So, yeah, it worked well last year. I mean, it's certainly bigger numbers this year, but that really shouldn't. It's the platform's designed to scale. So, I think what we'd ask you to do is just make sure your clubs are aware of how it will work this year. That there will be information coming about what the votes are about, and just communicate with membership about clubs carrying votes.
Hey, Dean, Phil Bruce here from Cape Cod.
Hey, Phil.
In addition to the club leadership, are you going to send the agenda out and notices to us, the members of the membership council?
Yeah, we'll send that. We'll share that with all of you, and we I think like last year we'll post it on our website, and we'll, like I said, we'll make it widely circulated.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions on that?
Dean, is it safe to say that we will probably be over communicating about this?
Yeah, that is the mode we try to operate in. So if you get too many emails from us, I apologize, but yeah, we will be intent on over communicating. So yeah, we've only had one person this year complain they got too many emails, which we thought was a success because that means we're sending a lot and communicating a lot. So so when it comes to the members, so the members meeting is Friday evening. That'll be in the event center at Chaska. Now at the same time as this meeting, there's a mixed doubles pre-trials event on. But we have all 6 sheets at Chaska, and we really want to use those sheets to do some things, including some skills training. We're planning a coaching conference. We're hoping to offer time with coaches for people who want to get some insight into their own technique and what they're doing in terms of delivering the rock, et cetera. And then we're also planning to offer certifications. So we often scramble throughout the year to offer officiating certifications, et cetera. So for people who are interested in that, instructor certifications, if we can make that work, we will try to offer as many of those as we can during the member assembly. We'll also have some other member operational programming, but the idea is to have a number of things going on at the same time. So if you're not interested in officiating, you could maybe jump over and do something, join the coaching conference, So rather than just a schedule that is knocked out as we have in the past. So the goal is to continue to improve this members assembly and continue to make it something that people in the curling community want to attend. And just so everybody knows too, we're not, I don't want people to think we're always intent on having it in the Twin Cities. We really do want to move it around. That's on the agenda for Brett and I. It just came together a little more easily this year. The first one in August at Chaska, but in the future we'll keep moving this around. So I don't know if Mackenzie's on or not. Mackenzie Carboni, I don't know if she's on or not, but we are going to working on this plan for merchandise sales through member clubs. The feedback we got was great. And I think the biggest thing, which wasn't entirely unexpected, was that, clubs don't want to carry a lot of inventory, which is certainly understandable. So Kenzie has a process where clubs can get orders, accumulate orders, and then submit them to us, and then we'll ship them out. So clubs can make a little bit of money that way. Members can save a bit on shipping, etc. But with that, you won't have to carry inventory. So if that's still interests your club, I'd suggest you reach out to Kenzie or me, or Kenzie or Gabby are going to be your two. Gabby Takis, their emails are both on the website. Those will be the best two to reach out for more information about that. I think we have 3 or 4 clubs that are intent on doing it. So there'll be good test cases for sure. Any questions on that? Site needs for 2025. We have all host sites except for college nationals next year. That's the only one we're looking for. That can be in a 4-sheet club. We thought we had a club that was intent on doing it, but they've just decided not to. The college folks do like to alternate it between the Midwest and the East Coast. Next year should be an East Coast year, but so if you're an East Coast based club and you think that might be a good event for you, please reach out to Aaron Kaler. And I will say the college committee did really a nice job this year of organization and staying on top of that. So if you have any interest at your club, 2025 college nationals, there's still some options for 25 and the 25-26 season, although we're filling up a number of those slots as well. But again, if you're interested in some of those events, reach out to Aaron Kaler and we'll let you know. We're also going to put out a doc on our website that just shows every championship and out through 28, because we actually have a couple that are where we're booked out through 27 anyways. So we'll put that out so everybody can see where we have openings. And then I guess with that, I don't see any hands up. I think we could turn to make it more of an open forum. Other questions and new business, any questions related to the GNCC situation in USA Curling, or anything else that's on your mind, including, as we always say, what else we could be doing for clubs. Always happy to hear suggestions. And I know Matt Sussman was working on gathering all the different approaches that member clubs use to integrate new members and improve conversion rates. So working on that. We're also working on a deck. This is internally, we're working on a deck about the value of a curling facility in a community. There's a lot of good information and statistics out there about socialization and how that's important for overall health. So if anybody is at a position where maybe they're working with a municipality or some sort of public-private partnership, we hope to have that done by the end of the month. The other thing I'll update is sharing with the board this weekend our coaching curriculum. Pretty excited about that. So that'll be shared at the board meeting, and hopefully we'll be rolling that out very shortly as well. So I'll stop for a minute and just throw it open. Any questions, wide open on any topics?
Hi, Dean. It's Cliff here from Triangle.
Hey, Cliff.
I had a question about, you were talking about some of the credentials, the officiating and instructor courses. Is there
Yep.
any way for USAC to have continuing ed for those two things? I mean, I took my level 2 years ago, and I'm sure things have changed, but if they have, I don't know about it.
So you mean like a refresher for some of these
Well, a
things, right?
refresher, or if you've come up with, if the course has changed and you've added stuff that I don't know about, that just it doesn't have to be long, just a little team
Sure.
meeting for an hour that says, hey, this is now part
It's a
of our
good
instructor
idea.
course. We've added this or taken that away or
Yeah.
whatever.
So that could be online. That's a good idea. I mean, we haven't made, I'm going to tell you, you're still probably pretty up to date, Cliff, but it's still a pretty good idea.
I'm sure nothing's changed that much, but you hear things and you see things, and I know people do things differently than way we do it. And it's just,
And we did.
I like the idea of a continuing ed, just to keep touch too.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And I just written it down, and I think we can do that pretty easily. We did make some changes to our level 1 and level 2 deck in the last few years, not so much in the course itself, but just in terms of how it was presented. So there are changes made ongoing, and that's probably not much different than with officiating, where we need to update officials on the rule book every year. We could do the same for instructor courses and ice tech training and everything else. That's the other thing we hope to offer. We're hoping to offer the club ice tech certification during the members assembly as well. So if your club is interested in sending your members of your ice crew to that, we'll be putting that together. It's a great idea, though, Cliff. Appreciate it.
That's at the members meeting, you said, the ice tech?
Yeah. Okay. So we're adopting the World Curling Ice Tech Training Platform. So there's a club certification and then a competition certification. So it's not like the old level 1, level 2 ice tech training. There's 2 levels. Club is the initial one. Competition one involves some more knowledge and working at events, etc. Who else has a thirst for more education like Cliff? Good. Tori, your hand's up.
So, I'm from Des Moines Curling Club, and we're on arena ice, and we were just having a conversation about having our arena learn more about what the difference is on curling ice versus hockey ice, figure skating ice. And would it be possible to have one of them travel with us in August? Would that be allowed?
Yeah, that'd be allowed. And one thing, the Arena Club working group that I meet with once a month, they're putting together some programming on that as well. In fact, I think they also I know they did a webinar on making ice, on skating ice, curling, the conversion process, et cetera, and how to get the most out of it. But yeah, they'd certainly be welcome in Chaska.
Okay, because they need some help.
Well, they have some challenges, to be fair, too. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. I mean, we've got great ice here in Denver, but it's a facility that was built in 2015. So they have some advantages. But yeah, I empathize with you in the arena setting. I have to admit, I've never curled regularly at an arena club, but I have done many setups and many group events, dragging rocks out, getting it set up, and pebbling multiple times and freezing hacks in. So it's a lot. So I appreciate your commitment. I will say too, we have a number. I said we have all the host sites for next year. We haven't announced them all yet, but we'll be announcing most of them in the next little bit, and then we have trial sites that we'll announce a little further out. Oh, here's something else, and I'm just putting this in an email, but I'll share with everybody while I'm thinking, is I don't know how many people have heard about ESPN Plus and the show Tryouts that will feature curling. So our episode is on May 22nd, and we're hoping to do some marketing around getting people involved to watch that. So I think the first episode of that show is this week, but we're pretty excited about it. And although, as I said in my email that's going out shortly here, none of us have seen the finished product, so that's part of the thing. But one thing, where it is a subscription service, ESPN Plus. So as I said in my email, that one of the things that will help us down the road is if we can show that they get some more subscriptions. So even if people subscribe for a month and cancel it, that would be great for us. And you can't watch it without a subscription. So. Any other questions or topics? The Coaching You Up people they've done this vaccine program with us this year. A big part of it is surveys, and they've told me that in our sport, they get curlers share their opinions more freely than any other. So, hoping for lots of opinions. Watch party, yes, Bernie. Watch parties would be great. Kate, this is a tangent, but we have a meeting in a few weeks. We started a junior program in one school, and now the whole system wants a curling program, but we are tiny and exhausted. Does USA Curling have any support suggestions or a template to help us build a citywide program? We do have a junior curling program template, and there's Craig Perry, our chief operating officer. He's working on a lot of this stuff as well, and we definitely can help with that, and want to help with that, especially if it's a school-wide system. One of our agenda items is to, become more vital within schools and get curling into schools. Where are you located? Derby City. Okay, so Louisville. Great. So, hey Kate, we will circle back with you just to find out sort of like how much ice time you have, what sort of programming you can do, how often. I'm hopeful they're giving you some money to help too. Are they doing that?
Not for the first program, the
No?
sort of startup program, but for anything bigger than that, yeah, they'll be footing the bill.
Okay. Well, I mean, there'd be a lot
Dean,
of.
can we help with floor curling too?
Yeah, that's a good point. So we have a good partnership with Rock Solid Productions. It does floor curling, and they have a whole program that might be really, actually, it's a good thing Brett brought it up. That might be perfect for you, in that you can take a program, introduce floor curling in the school, and Rock Solid has a pretty good template for how teachers can do it. It's pretty much plug and play. They introduce floor curling at the school, so then when the kids get on the ice, they're that much further ahead. So we'll share some information on that as well.
That sounds great. That's what actually we introduced the kids in our initial program with floor curling initially, and then
Sure.
Yeah.
So we have this big idea with floor curling, and you've already done it. So
we also
great,
have a
Kate.
street curling set, so we.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. We're little,
so
so
you don't
we
need
need a
our
lot
help,
of bells
Kate.
and whistles.
Do you need her? Sounds like you're killing it. So well done. But yeah, we'll reach out to you with that. I don't know if you have the education template, but there's an opportunity there, partly because Chad at Rock Solid would really like to get it into more school systems in the United States. Obviously sees a growth opportunity with that. So
That sounds great. Thank you.
is that true, Liz, that it's part of the gym program for all fourth graders?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
What town?
we had Tyler George come
Yeah.
a few years ago after they won the gold medal. And we
Yeah.
actually took Tyler out to all of our elementary schools, 4 or 5 in our town. Plus we took him to a couple of other towns. And he was quite, I think, impressed with the kids, and all the teachers actually got involved. as well. So the kids were all very excited. But yeah, that is part of their full gym program. So the teachers know
Fantastic.
how to teach it, and then we also have a program where we bring the kids. They have to the curling club. So all I think
Yep.
it is fourth graders actually get to come to the curling club once each year, and they bring them every year, and they go through all the different stations. They get to go out actually on the ice and try it and all that type of thing. So
Well, you know what happens, Liz, when I hear somebody doing something amazing like that is that I ask them to write it up for us. Do you have any write up on it? Do you have any like I'm not trying to put work on it, but has there ever been any documentation about what the program consists of?
you know what? I'll talk to I will find out. I'll chat with them because I don't actually know. I know one of our, he was a senior citizen. Bernie,
Yeah.
he was volunteering in schools, and he actually started. He put together and built before there were actually little, the
Built his own
cross
floor curling set
skills.
because
Yeah, he
yeah.
kind of built those and put those together originally and started that. But all
Wow.
the schools, do their own now have the I believe they all
Floor
have
curl
floor
setups.
curling,
Yeah.
systems. So it was actually, it's great. It's a really nice thing that they do it. And they say Tyler was pretty impressed that the kids knew what it was, what they knew a lot of basics about curling.
Yeah, and that's what, the floor curling that's been successful in Canada, that's what it's been about. It's about, you get kids ready to transition to the curling club. So when they do go, they know sort of what's going on. So yeah, I'd love to, if you have anything on
Sure.
it, even some sort of short write-up, because it's a perfect example of why we have this group, because there's lots of good things happening that people don't always know about. So it's terrific.
And I'll put a little bit finer point on that is if we can really put something concise together of a case study of a success story.
Yeah.
I have a really good connection with the National Association of Physical Education Teachers, and I can definitely pitch. Dean and I would be able to pitch it to them, having something concrete to share.
Sure. Absolutely. I
Fantastic.
will
Nick.
talk to Phil, who's our other club council member, and a couple other people in the club, and put something together.
Awesome. Nicole from my club is saying she'd love to have that in New Jersey. So yeah, schools frankly have been tough for people. I know there was a group in Lakeville working at it. Often what you need is, you need one teacher to sort of get it. But being able to point to a case study and success would be a big help.
Yeah, Dean, this is Phil here. We absolutely love that program. It's fantastic. But what it does to my eyes, oh my God. I've never gone through so many sticky pads in my life. I've
That's when
never
we bring
seen
the
such
kids in.
dirty shoes.
Yes. So I have the mute button just for ice technicians, Phil. So I'm going to use it right now. But I understand. Totally understand. Anybody else have a good story to share? So the floor curling kits, we get a deal on them. I'd have to look. They're usually around $400 per kit. So we actually had, when I started, we had 30 of them in a warehouse, which I thought was a bad place for them to be. So I have to report that I shipped all those ones out to various schools and people using them. So we don't have any on hand, but we do, and we can always work with Chad. He, like I said, he really does want to grow his floor curling in the US. So I think there's some room, especially if we're buying a number of them. Tessa's asking, is there a better age for school kids in this program? Floor curling is really targeting elementary school kids. So I think probably high school kids might not find it a little too kid-like, I guess. So I think elementary schools are the best place for it myself, unless somebody else has had a different experience elsewhere.
Hey, Dean.
Yeah.
Ryan Schwackert here from Last Chance Curling Club in Helena, Montana.
Hey, Ryan, how are you?
Good, good. And not to counter what you're saying, but as a win and a wow, we've been partnering up with a group here in Helena called Lifetime Sports, and it's actually more of just a single individual teacher that got this started, but his focus is trying to get some of his juniors and seniors involved in other activities outside of what they provide at school, right? So once you graduate, what are some of the lifetime activities your community offers? And we got in there with our floor curling set. We applied for a grant through the DATCA or DTAC, Dakota Area Curling. And got that set. And so we've done maybe 3 of those with both high schools in our town, at least once a semester, so like a spring and a fall. And this last 2 events that we held, we got 3 high school students to join our spring league. So that was like a transferable success. It's not only that we're here to show you that there's this other activity that happens in your town. And one other thing Cade was talking about was the potential of even taking some space in one of their upper levels of their gym and painting in essentially curling sheets.
Oh, wow.
And then instead of the vinyl, they would have it on like polished concrete. So, you know, there are champions, and I would say that this gentleman Cade is one of them that is really trying to expose some of those students to as many things as they can just outside of what's happening directly in the school.
So this is where we revise the minutes to say Dean says this is great at elementary schools and high schools. No, that's honestly that's terrific. I mean, really good.
Having been a part of a couple of those, you know, you get 25 to 30 minutes. Several of those minutes are talking about who you are, what you do, you know, the organization, and then you might get. We set up ours in like 2 separate kind of stations. One of them's actually doing floor curling, and the other station's more about some of the history of the activity or the sport, some of the different terminologies, a little bit more kind of one-on-one time. And then we have some tabletop curling setups that you can use too. But you definitely see a glaze, you know, not always paying attention with everybody that's there in the room. But yeah, this was a success for us this year.
For sure. You know, one of our action items is to try to figure out how to get, you know, one of the things I think we need to figure out is how to get kids who are in high school and maybe do play a sport, especially like a summer sport, and realize that maybe that won't be their lifetime sport or they won't play in college. And how do we get those kids interested in curling as well? So excited to hear that it's worked at the high school level.
Yep.
Well, it's supposed to be 75 degrees here tomorrow in Denver, but right now it's not. So if you see me shivering, that's the. Any other questions? Does any of the arena clubs, do you have any questions about the Arena Nationals playdowns or anything? I will let this group know that we'll be announcing that site. We're literally just getting the MOU signed, and it will be the last weekend in October. So it's 1 week earlier than it was 2 years ago. But I think we have a great host club. So, but if anybody has any questions about playdowns for that or when they need to be confirmed, reach out to us.
So just to confirm, that's over Halloween then?
Let me just make sure on that. I'm just gonna have to look at my calendar here. No, it's actually, it'll go from, well, start Wednesday evening and go, so it'll be 23 through 27. So if you're a Halloween enthusiast, you are still okay.
Thank you. We were deciding if we needed to have themed Halloween uniforms.
I'm going to say we might discourage those at USA Curling. No, I'm kidding. I don't know, but you won't need Halloween uniforms. So yeah, the playdown concept, Robert, is it really is with the regional associations. We with the GNCC situation and not knowing where that's at, we're planning an at-large playdown. But basically, it's like our other regionally based playdown events where regions run a playdown process or determine their representative in another way. Now we encourage playdowns, but I know it can be harder sometimes with arenas. But I think last year every region did have some kind of playdown. Some regions went to clubs with dedicated ice and had a playdown there. Others did it in an arena setting or did it over a number of weeks. So arena nationals, mixed fours nationals here that I'm at, club nationals, and U18s are the regionally based national championships. I think the big thing is just making sure that your club and the region should know. We've communicated to the regions, but the club knows and people in your club know the nationals dates so that they know what playdowns need to happen at some point before then. Sorry, Kevin, you have your hand up?
Yeah. So I just had a member that wanted us to ask a question from our club here about
Sure.
5 and under kind of eligibility and stuff. And I have a
Yeah.
feeling your answer is going to be you're not entirely certain, but maybe a redirect will be nice. So the way I guess if I'm understanding correctly, the way it's written in the rules or in the eligibility or something is that it's calendar year instead of like season, which
Yeah.
then raised the question to them of like, because the nationals are typically in April or May, right? That if you're a 5th year expiring in December, but you either win or like, you know what I mean? How does that work with where you would technically be a 6th year playing in the nationals for the 5th year of the does that make sense? What I'm kind of asking, it's a weird.
I know what you mean
thing.
is that you would get that extra year. So if I think the best thing is the easiest way to look at it is with that chart that's in the qualification procedures, and we update that each year.
Yeah.
But that's really the I'd have to go back and pull it up, but how it's written there. And if you need more clarity on that, just shoot me an email and I'll get back to you on it.
That will work. Yeah, I had a feeling you weren't going to
All right.
necessarily know it right off the top of your head, but they wanted me to ask. So
Here, Jonathan Lee, who's on the Arena Club Working Group, helped me out here. He said the chart basically caps it at 5 years and 4 months. So that's how you can. So I think the scenario you talk about would allow them to play through that first part of that season.
gotcha. So there's a degree of like, it almost does like go seasonal instead of calendar year to a degree if you get those extra 4 months, like
Right.
at least through the
Right.
national, whatever the national tournament
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
Jonathan was actually the one who was kind enough to put that chart together. So Robert asked if the Arena Nationals is a 3-day schedule. It's a 4-day schedule because it's the standard draw we use. It'll be on 6 sheets, 24 teams, 12 men's teams, 12 women's teams. So it's a 4-day event. Sometimes we have some practices Wednesday, but it's really a 4-day event.
Could you possibly, I understand not sharing the location, but in terms of the dates, I know a lot of folks were told early November. And so
Yeah.
that may change some availability for some teams.
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, we like to announce things as soon as we can, but we don't like to announce them before we have a signed contract or an MOU. So, but it's really 1 week earlier than it was like 2 years ago. Last year was 1 week later than year before that. So, not a huge difference. And we think, the member club that wants to take it on, it was the best time for them. So, I'm going to push to try to get that out by the end of the week, so people, because I know that that's important for people to know when it is. The only reason we can't really announce it is because, if suddenly that club couldn't do it and then we had another club that had to do it at different dates, we'd have people who made plans one way or another. Confident this club will be is set to do it. So 3-day event for arena playdowns. That's up to how the region wants to do it, Robert. I mean, obviously, if there's 2 teams entered, it's probably not a 3-day event. If there's 10 teams entered, it could be. So we leave the format for that really up to the regions and how they want to structure the event. What region are you in, Robert? No, Wisconsin. Yes. So I think Wisconsin has 2 arena clubs at the moment, right? Lacrosse and Rhinelander, I think. And Robert, I hoped we answered your question about hosting an arena versus a club. Previously. Is anybody at an arena? Oh, I thought there was a new pre-arena nationals event. Fair question, Robert. That's so with the Arena Club Working Group, we're trying to put together a last chance qualifier bonspiel. That would likely be 3 days. Again, that would probably depend on the number of teams. It could be shorter if the number of teams is fewer. But yeah, that's still to be determined. That one we need if we can't come up this year with a club willing to run that qualifier bonspiel, we'll use the existing fill policy. But that is, Jonathan knows from being in the Arena Club Working Group, that is something that we'd like to do this year. So just so everybody's clear on that, there'll be regional playdowns, and then if there's a club willing to take on a qualifier bonspiel, much like we do for 5 and under bonspiels and etc. Yeah, if lacrosse is interested in hosting that bonspiel, Robert, absolutely. Let's discuss that. I'm fascinated because Phil Bruce's video just came on again, but don't know if he's aware. I'm just trying to think of anything else I can cover. And I don't know if Brett has anything else that he wants to add. I will let everybody know that we're having our spring board meeting out here this weekend in Denver during the mixed fours. No, Ryan, you're not getting. Yeah, I just get people to put together documents and decks. Not going to voluntold you to post something. Just so you know, in the bonspiel too, that arena bonspiel, like that would be one where the bonspiel runs according to how the organizers want to run it. In terms of fees, they would collect the fees, etc., much like we do with 5 and under bonspiels. People who know that process. Well, I like to keep these under an hour, so I guess we're doing that. But if anybody else has something they'd like to add, I will ask any of the East Coast clubs if you've had if there's been any conversations with your club about the GNCC and you want to mention any of those, please do that. I don't have much to report there, but if not, that's fine too. All right, well, I am going to end the meeting and appreciate all your time as usual. Feel free to, sharing information in between. I'm going to go watch a bit of curling and we'll follow up next May. Oh, real quick, we were planning to have these every month, but we'll see when we get into May, June, or June and July if people are more interested in doing warm weather things than curling updates. So we'll just have to gauge that and see otherwise, but we will otherwise second Wednesday of every month, but we'll look to see what the agenda looks like. And if we think there's a month that doesn't make sense, we won't. And if last thing too, if your club leadership has any questions, please feel free to, suggest to them that they reach out to us. All right. So appreciate your efforts and talk again soon.